Welcome to Passion for Sound, the channel dedicated to thorough and honest reviews of headphones, earphones, DACs, headphone amps, other components and accessories. Basically everything audio related except power amps and passive speakers. My name's Lachlan and my goal is to explore and discuss all kinds of audio topics, even the controversial ones, to help us all find more enjoyment from music. Thanks for watching and enjoy the video. Hey folks, welcome to another Passion for Sound audio review. And today a battle review between two quite different sets but also quite good sets of true wireless earphones. Specifically we're talking about the Moondrop Sparks and also the Sol S-Fit IEMs. As I mentioned, these are very different types of IEMs, but they're priced very similarly, and I thought it was a good comparison to show you what sorts of factors you might want to include in your decision making as to which true wireless IEMs to buy. I'd like to start by saying a huge thank you to Sol and to Shenzhen Audio for making this review possible. Before I get into the details of the review, I also want to mention two other things. One of them is a reminder that I'm going to be moving to more of a one video a week type of cycle coming very soon. There will still be second videos some weeks, but not all weeks, and it's going to allow me to drop in brand new product like the Shenzhen Topping EX5 that I've got up behind me here, things that come out with an immediate release date that I haven't had time to get in advance, but I want to let you know about quickly. So that's one reason for moving to one scheduled video a week, is to allow me to drop in those premieres and those new product videos when they come up. The other reason is that managing the workflow of 2 videos per week is just proving too difficult when things happen, like recently getting stuck away from home, away from my office in a lockdown situation. So I hope you won't mind me moving to 1 video a week. I do believe it's going to allow me to provide better and more varied content as a result. So I look forward to your feedback as you see what's to come. The second thing I want to mention is the giveaway of the Samsung Galaxy Buds Live. I mentioned this in the review of my HE400 Stealth Edition, and here we are again. So I've got this pair of earbuds to give away. All you need to do to be a part of the giveaway is subscribe to the channel, so do that right now, and then also leave a comment down below about an idea that you've got. Just concepts are fine, they don't need to be finished graphics or anything like that, but an idea that you've got for a hoodie or t-shirt type merchandise design. So things like this one that I'm wearing today, which is the Peace, Love and Music. Anything that you think might look good or might sound good when printed on a t-shirt or hoodie, send it through and the winning entry will be the one that I think is the best idea, and the winner will receive both the Samsung Galaxy Buds Live but also a t-shirt or hoodie, their choice, with the design they suggested. So if you want to be in that draw, remember to subscribe and leave your comments down below with ideas. There'll be lots more giveaways coming soon on the channel as well, so do stay tuned and watch out for the next giveaway after this one. For now though, let's get into the review of the Sol S-Fit and the Moondrop Sparks. I'm going to start this off by talking about the S-Fit, and that's because it is priced just a little bit cheaper than the Sparks. So the S-Fit here comes in at $80 US. As I mentioned before, both of these are true wireless IEMs. In the case of the S-Fit here at $80 US or 149 Australian dollars direct from the Sol website, what you're getting is a really compact, sports-oriented IEM. It runs Bluetooth 5.0, so it's really good in terms of latency. Things are snappy and quick, so you can watch videos, play games, and not have issues with audio lag. But it is only running the AAC codec, which is not as high quality codec as something like the Sparks that we'll talk about soon. Whether or not that's an issue, we'll talk about shortly. The S-Fit provides 6.5 hours of playback from a single charge of the earbuds, and a total of 35 hours playback when you include the recharges from the carry case. So like with most true wireless earphones, probably all of them by now, the case is actually also a charger, and so there's a battery in the case and batteries in the IEMs themselves. So you're going to get 35 hours from this entire package here with 6.5 hours at a time. Being a sports-oriented earbud, these are water and dust resistance up to an IP67 rating, so they're going to handle dust, sweat, getting splashed on, things like that. It makes them pretty hardy and pretty good for an active situation. In terms of tips, that's where the S-Fit get a bit interesting. You only get 3 tips from the S-Fit, but the tips that you get are very interesting because first of all you get the silicone tip that goes onto the nozzle here, but you also get these wing style things. Now you'll see these much better in the glamour video, but the idea of them is that they fit onto the IEM, and then the little wing itself protrudes and it sticks up into the folds of your ear and helps keep the IEM stable. It makes for a really, really comfortable and also secure fit from the S-Fits. And that to me is probably their best feature, is the fact that they're incredibly comfortable, very, very secure, and also, I don't know if you can tell here, but they're a very slimline design. So you can nestle them right inside the contour of the ear and they're going to be comfortable and secure for a long listen. They're so small, in fact, that I've even been able to use them in bed, lying down, with my head on the side. So that's a huge plus with the S-Fit. One final feature I want to mention before we move on to the Sparks is that the S-Fit here have a mode called transparency mode. This is not uncommon as such, but it's not in every wireless IEM or headphone, and I wish it was. What it does is it allows you to press and hold the right earbud and switch on the microphones used for noise cancelling, that is noise cancelling for voice calls and the like. It's not an active noise cancelling IEM, but it can use the microphones for calls to allow you to hear the ambient environment while still hearing whatever you're listening to in the actual IEM. That's fantastic because it means if you're out and about and you need to hear traffic for safety reasons, or maybe you're wearing them around the house and you need to hear somebody talking to you, you don't have to remove the IEM and then put it back in afterwards. You just press and hold the transparency button and all of a sudden you can hear everything going on around you while also still hearing your music, your audiobook, your podcast, etc. I do want to mention one little gripe while we're at it with the S-Fits, and that is that sometimes when putting the IEMs back in the case, they don't switch off and therefore release the phone's Bluetooth. It's just a little bit annoying because it does mean they're continuing to drain the battery, and they're also draining the battery of the phone by staying connected. So it's something that I'm not a huge fan of, is that they don't always disconnect. I haven't been able to work out why that is. I've tried removing the earbuds, putting them back in, but I can't seem to get it to consistently disconnect from the phone. So it's a little issue. It's not a huge deal, but it is something I wanted to mention. Before we go on to talk about comfort, usability, and sound quality, let me now introduce the Moondrop Sparks. These are a very different style of IEM. They're much more of an audiophile true wireless and much less of an active style true wireless. They cost a little bit more than the Sparks at $90 US, and at $90 US, that doesn't include the leather case that I've got here. So if I take the leather case off, if I can take the leather case off, there it goes. As you can see, once it's in the leather case, you probably want to leave it in the leather case. Alright, got it. So, without the leather case, this costs $90 US, and that equates to about 120 to 125 Australian dollars with just a straight conversion from US to Aussie dollars. So it's quite different. It comes in cheaper in Aussie dollars compared to the S-Fit, but that's likely due to the fact that the Shenzhen Audio website where I checked the pricing of the Spark does not include shipping changes when you flip from USD to AUD. In the case of the S-Fit, it's obviously factored in things like shipping costs, taxes and the like. So that's my theory on why there's a different price. But let's look at these in terms of their US dollar prices. We've got the S-Fit here at 80, we've got the Sparks at $90 US. So they're both pretty affordable for a true wireless IEM. In the case of the Sparks, you're getting Bluetooth 5.2, so it's a slightly better version of Bluetooth, but they're both very low lag, and that's probably the key with moving to Bluetooth 5, 5.1, 5.2, etc. So you've got 5.0 on the S-Fit, 5.2 on the Sparks, but in my usage, it doesn't make a huge difference. What might make a difference depending on your needs is the fact that the Sparks also allow you to use the aptX HD codec. So it's a higher quality transmission that's going to, in theory, bring you better resolution sound, and I will talk about that soon. The Sparks also provide slightly more playback per charge of the earphones with 8 hours per earphone charge, and then the case adds an extra 48 hours, taking you to a total of 56. So there's a big difference in terms of the amount of charge and the listening time you get per charge with both of these earphones, but both of them are beyond the levels where it should be an issue and something you really need to worry about. While we're talking accessories and the like, I should mention that the leather case that you saw me struggling with before is an extra cost. I think it's about $10 US, and honestly, I don't really see the point. The whole idea of the carry case is to protect the IEMs, so I don't know why they're thinking you need a carry case to protect the carry case. Maybe some people feel like it's necessary because the carry case is also the charger, but for me this is just extra expense and extra bulk and not something I would personally use. The other thing worth talking about in terms of accessories you do get for free with the IEMs, and that is this huge range of tips here. This is a better range of tips than most regular IEMs come with, let alone wireless IEMs. So you've got one range of sort of a charcoal coloured silicone, you've got a set of black silicone tips that are a bit softer and a bit flimsier, you've got some foam tips, and then you've got a different set of more conical shaped black silicone tips as well. So you've got a lot of options to make sure that you can get a really good fit with the Sparks. Putting those out of the way though now, let's talk about one last thing that's a bit of a fly in the ointment with the Sparks. If you look on the Moondrop website, or indeed most of the retailer websites, it's going to talk about this wonderful app that you can link up with the Sparks and do things like apply EQ, or also apply custom tunings to make them sound like other earphones or headphones. Before you get too excited, don't even bother to think about using that app. The app is actually not even called what the website says it's called, so the website refers to it I think as Moondrop Link, but in reality it's a Hybe software. So it seems to be something where maybe Moondrop have made a deal with Hybe, maybe they're the same company, I'm not sure, but either way they're using the Hybe software, it's not yet been rebranded, and it is utterly useless and frustrating. I'm sure if you were willing to spend a few hours getting it set up and working, it might give you some functionality, but from what I read in some of the reviews on the Android store, it doesn't have many of the features that it's meant to have, and therefore I would say don't buy the Sparks thinking that the app is a key feature, because it's really not worth using, and you should think about the Sparks as a standalone, normal, true wireless earphone that comes as it comes, and that's it. So with that little speed bump out of the way, let's talk now about each of the earphones in terms of comfort and usability. And then of course I'll talk about how they both sound, because you might make the decisions based on different factors with these, particularly knowing that the S-Fit is more of an active style, whereas the Sparks are more of a sitting in the office, sitting on a train, wherever it might be, it's more of a sitting still and enjoying optimal wireless sound quality. Now to demonstrate this, I'm going to take out the right earpiece of each of these. So we've got the Sparks, and we've got the S-Fit. Now immediately with them sitting on the desk, you'll probably be noticing the massive difference in terms of size. The Sparks there sits up nearly a centimetre longer in terms of the end of the nozzle, and it's just generally a bulkier, chunkier IEM. What that means is that where the S-Fit, as I described before, sits really snugly in the ear, and you can even use it lying on your side in bed, there's no chance of that with the Sparks. It's got sharp edges, not sharp, but flat edges around the side. It's a bulkier design, and it sticks quite a long way out of the ear. I would say about half of that body is sitting beyond the plane of my ear when I've got them inserted properly. So that means that immediately the S-Fit take the win for me in terms of comfort. They also are much better in terms of security in the ear, because I don't trust that the Sparks wouldn't fall out if I did anything too strenuous. So you wouldn't want to be running, jogging, maybe cycling you could get away with if you wanted to do that, but really I don't see these as an active IEM at all, these being the Sparks. The other thing worth mentioning about these two is that I've already mentioned transparency mode on the S-Fit. That makes it very, very useful in a whole range of situations, as I mentioned before, whether it's for safety, hearing the ambient noise around you, whether it's for having a conversation with somebody without having to remove the IEM, whether it's just generally having awareness of the world around you in case somebody talks to you. There's lots of different scenarios where the transparency mode is a huge benefit from the S-Fit. The other thing I really like about the S-Fit is the size of the carry case. Now yes, you are trading off maximum playback time with this reduced size, but I definitely can see myself throwing this in my pocket, whereas I'm unlikely to throw the Sparks case in my pocket. So all in all, at this stage for me, I would be saying that the S-Fit is comfortably way out in front because it's more comfortable, it's more secure, I'm more likely to throw it in my pocket, and it's also got that transparency mode. So for comfort and usability, whilst the Sparks aren't bad, the S-Fit is way ahead and in a totally different league. So if comfort and usability are more interesting to you, and you can put up with the fact that the S-Fit doesn't always disconnect when you put it back in the case, then at this point I'd be saying you should be leaning more towards something like the S-Fit. But if sound quality is important to you, you might want to hear what I've got to say about that. You see, when you connect both of these up and have a listen to them, they've got vastly different presentations in sound. The S-Fit is a bit warm, it's a bit slower in sound, the bass is a little bit enhanced, but it's also a little bit slow and a touch bloated, and then the treble is quite rolled off and lacking in resolution. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it is a very different sound to what you hear from the Sparks. The Sparks gives you this wonderfully audiophile sound, and I mean that in a good way, in the sense that it's got very resolved treble, it's got a beautiful sense of soundstage, it's got good bass, but it's tight, punchy and fast. Some of that is going to be coming from the better codec in the Sparks, allowing you to hear more detail coming through with higher resolution, but it's also going to be to do with the tuning and the quality of the driver. The Sparks use a beryllium coated driver, and it's giving a really wonderful, snappy, quick and resolving sound that does occasionally get just a tiny bit fatiguing, but it's only because it's very resolving and detailed. I don't feel like it's getting particularly into peakiness or sibilance or harshness, but it is just a tiny little bit fatiguing for me from time to time. Before you completely write off the S-Fit from a sound quality point of view though, I do want to mention that whilst yes, the bass is a bit bloated and slow compared to the Sparks, and the treble lacks the detail and transparency of the Sparks, it's very much a case where the S-Fit is easy to listen to for extended periods and is still very enjoyable. They provide quite a good sense of soundstage and general space and separation in the sound, and whilst not quite as good as the Sparks, it's very listenable and enjoyable from a quality point of view. Add to that the fact that the less resolving and detailed treble is less inclined to cause fatigue, and you've actually got yourself an IEM that is very, very enjoyable, fun and easy to listen to. So they're very different earphones. If you're looking for long-term listening with no fatigue, the S-Fit are actually a really good choice. If you're looking for maximum sound quality though, you would want to lean towards the Sparks. To provide some specific context for the sound quality, one of the tracks that came on while I was listening to these and testing these was The Waiting Game by Van Morrison. While listening to that track, which is quite well recorded, what I was very clearly able to hear was that the Sparks were way ahead in terms of resolution and transparency in the sound. The S-Fit sounds decidedly low res, but it's still very, very enjoyable. If I wasn't comparing the two, I wouldn't really have noticed the difference because the sound from the S-Fit is well balanced in terms of its overall tonality in such a way that you don't notice any of the flaws until you have a direct comparison. The Sparks, on the other hand, are immediately impressive with their tuning. These sound as good or better than some wired IEMs that I've tried. And in fact, I would choose them over some of the IEMs that I covered in my recent budget IEM Battle Royale. The Sparks have a wider soundstage and better separation, as I've already discussed. But while listening to The Waiting Game, I did find that there was just a little bit of fatigue creeping in towards the end of the track because of that treble detail, transparency, and the overall tuning of the IEM. This track did also bring out the fact though that I find the bass from the Sparks to be more natural, quicker, and punchier, whereas the S-Fit did show itself to be a bit bloated and slow. That's what brings its richness and warmth and makes it very relaxing to listen to, but it's not the high-res, transparent and resolving audiophile IEM that some of you might be looking for. So having listened to both and used both extensively while I was stuck away from home in lockdown, what I can tell you is that they're both, in my opinion, excellent IEMs. At $90, the Sparks sound way better than many other wired IEMs, and also better than some of the other true wireless I've tried, even at high price points. If you're looking for a pure sound quality IEM, true wireless IEM that is, that's maybe not the most comfortable, but is decently comfortable and decently secure, then I do think the Sparks are worth considering. Certainly don't buy them based on the availability of the app because the app is atrocious, but do buy them if you're looking for a well-tuned, engaging, exciting, audiophile style true wireless IEM. If though you're looking for an IEM that you can put in your ears when you're doing all sorts of activities and have the music, the audiobook, the podcast, whatever it is, sound great and never get fatiguing, then I think the S-Fit is probably the one to buy. Out of the two, over the couple of weeks that I've been away with them, I regularly reach for the S-Fit. I reach for the Sparks just once. That's outside of my testing, of course. I listen to it more than once for testing. But in my day-to-day use, when I was hanging out, listening to music, going for a walk, whatever it was I was doing, the S-Fit were the earphones out of these two that I reached for every time. So whilst there's no doubt in my mind that the Sparks are the better sounding IEM, I think the S-Fit, for the purpose and the use case of wireless IEMs, is the better choice out of these two. If you're looking for pure sound quality and you're in a situation where you don't need to move around and therefore need the wireless, then I do think you're probably better off spending your $90 on a decent pair of IEMs. That's obviously assuming that you've got a source you can plug them into that's of relatively high quality. If you're in a position where this is your first entry into anything audiophile and you don't have a quality source, then forget everything I just said, the Sparks are great. But if this is an addition to your collection, if this is something where you're looking to add a true wireless solution in addition to your wired connected solutions, I actually think the S-Fit might be the better choice if you need that versatility of being able to move around, hear what's going on around you, have something that's comfortable for long stretches, maybe something you can lay down in bed with. That's where the S-Fit is really, really good. So both are fantastic, but out of this battle, I'm going to say the pure sound quality win goes to the Sparks, but the overall win for everything including comfort, usability, long-term listening enjoyment, that's going to go to the S-Fit. So if either of these IEMs sound interesting to you, I'll put links down below where you can go through and buy them for yourself. In the case of the Sparks, it's a link to Shenzhen Audio, but there's no affiliation there, there's no kickbacks, it's just a way of saying thank you to them for sending me the product. I haven't checked the link options yet, so the links for the S-Fit will either be direct through the Sol website to say thank you to them for sending it out, or possibly through Amazon where there are affiliates and I do get some level of income from those sales. It really helps the channel to keep going and building towards better and better reviews if you use those affiliate links, so thank you in advance and happy listening to whichever one you choose. Before I wrap up, I just want to remind you of the giveaway of the Samsung Galaxy Buds Live. Don't forget to subscribe and put your ideas for merchandise design down in the comments below to get in the draw to win those. I'll be drawing it in 2 more videos time, roughly, I think, so make sure you get those entries in and make sure you're subscribed. For now though, let me leave you to the music, so happy listening and I'll see you here next time on Passion for Sound.